It's your boy DJ Rooster back at it again for some more basketball talk. So today we're gonna put one more final nail in the coffin for the few remaining Kuminga haters left, and to call out all those people. Now we ain't forgot about you. All those people who call Kuminga low IQ. Because at the end of the day, how you gonna call somebody low IQ when y'all clearly don't know basketball? So like for all this, I think it's a lot of us who are Kuminga supporters aren't really Kuminga supporters or Kuminga fans. We're just fans of justice and hate injustice. We see a dude that clearly got shafted, and that's the thing, man. How a lot of this is projection. A lot of these people who project, this low IQ on Kuminga, they're actually low IQ themselves. And they expose it in their arguments that just don't make any sense. And we're going to get to the four main things that us rational basketball fans look at and ask these haters to answer that they really can't. All right, so let's get right into it. So the four main things is one, they ignore what Kuminga did in Golden State last year before he got hurt. You never talk about the pre-injury. They always call Kuminga a loser, a losing player. He's not a winning player. And what does that even mean? They don't even know what these things actually even mean. What even is a winning player? How can you define it? You're using words you can't even define. You just put stuff together to describe, to mask your hatred. Yeah, there we go. Golden State, they were balling before the injury. He was looking like the number two that Steph needed. He was leading the team in rebounding, like they asked. Of course, his defense was still shaky, but there was still a lot going on. So what we talked about defense already, and how reducing the mental stack improves your defense. When you got a whole bunch of stuff to worry about, the timing is like this. So it throws your timing off. But he showed good, spurts of playing good defense. And they kept talking about inconsistency. Yes, they keep ignoring the fact that, I guess it's the fifth one. I didn't write this one down. But they keep ignoring the fact that, it is in the last one. But specifically, they keep ignoring the fact that Kerr has done everything he can to railroad this dude, Kuminga. He wasn't given a proper opportunity. And then, going back to the low IQ projection, their number one counter to that is, he's playing the same average minutes. All right, so anybody who be making an argument and the entire crux of their argument is the average, when they're using something to deny, especially when they're using the average to deny something that's obvious. Like when they say free throws. Oh, okay, see, they average the number of free throws. When they look at the whole as a purposeful way to ignore the conversation, that means they're either low IQ or they're being disingenuous. There's really the only two options. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, hold up, something happened. Hold up. All right, there's a whole thing going on outside. It's jazz space, the water, so there's all kind of party. I had to handle an issue. You know what I'm saying? People be doing too much, but it's okay. We back at it again. Like you said, it's jazz fest. This is what it is. But number two, these people ignore the fact that the only reason Golden State traded for Jimmy Butler is because Kuminga got hurt, and nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about it. The only reason Butler is on the team is because Kuminga got hurt. They would not have traded for Butler otherwise. And if you say I'm wrong, then once again you're showing low IQ, because number one, that gets ignored. They were rolling before he got hurt. If you just magically think the Warriors would have just started losing the same amount of games that they lost before he got hurt, then once again, you either just have an agenda for hate or you're just not smart. It's like, well, what logical reason or reality? Because I'm a logic dude, bro. Math is about logic. I'm a math guy. And not just math is in numbers that you calculate. Math is in the math of reality. It's a pattern observation. You know what I'm saying? shapes, proportion, logic, probability management, so if this then this, logic, shit. And that applies to everything. If this happens, then this happens. Data from reality trumps anything you form in your brain. So if you have an opinion in your brain and there's data from reality that goes against it, you need to have good explanation, not just once you pull out your ass because you feel like it. Or you're just wrong. Either you have a good explanation for why there's data in reality negating what that's in your brain. So if you don't have that, then you're freaking wrong. So everything these people were saying about Kuminga has been wrong and always been wrong. And the fact that this playoffs is going and he's playing well, so we could say this before, and you can't just jump back and say, oh, well, yeah, it took some time, and he's finally learning. We saw this last year. Once again, we're going back into these are the four main things they ignored, the Kuminga haters ignored. So once again, number 2 is they wouldn't have traded for Jimmy Butler if it wasn't for Kuminga. Number 3, they ignore what Kuminga did in the playoffs. And that's the craziest part. You keep saying, oh, let's see what he doing. These low IQ Kuminga haters really said, oh, Kuminga played bad in one regular season game and lit his ass up and say, oh, we won the Porzingis trade. They really said they won the Porzingis trade. After one bad game against Golden State. He wasn't even coming to kill. He liked Golden State. He liked the people. He just like Steve Kerr. Kuminga had no killer instinct. He liked all the dudes. After the game, he was chopping it up, chilling. I was like, son, it was just Steve Kerr he didn't like. And the GM, bitch ass Dunleavy. There's got to be a demand to demand a trade, bitch ass. Him and Steve Kerr need to be gone. But yeah, they ignored the playoffs. He was the leading scorer, leading rebounder, and defended their best player very well. Now, how as an intelligent individual do you look at that, ignore that, and say Kuminga's trash doesn't fit in the system? You know what I'm saying? If you can't fit a person like that into your system, then your system is garbage. The Kuminga haters on one hand, a lot of Kuminga haters are also Kerr haters too. It's weird as shit. Like Jim Parks, you know what I'm saying? I gotta break. I love Jim Parks, you know what I'm saying? I love Jim Parks. But real is real. He is the main reason that Kuminga has as many haters as he does. Honestly, if it wasn't for Jim Parks, Kuminga would just have like a small fan base. I mean, yeah, really, and people supporting him. But really, Jim Parks, he's the one person on the planet who hates Kuminga more than Steve Kerr. And he hates Kerr, rightfully so. That's why I started watching him, because Steve Kerr's garbage. And I've been saying this ever since they got rid of Mark Jackson. I'm gonna go into it again, y'all. Y'all know. It's always in comments about this, but it's true. It's pattern as old as time. They fire a black coach who built the thing. Mark Jackson never lost as a higher seed. He never was upset. Steve Kerr has been upset all the time. You know what I'm saying? They fired Mark Jackson and brought Steve Kerr in. So I automatically didn't like Steve Kerr. And because I also saw what he did in fucking Phoenix, the worst GM in the history of the freaking league. This dude destroyed Phoenix. He was playing 3 guards, which actually kind of worked a little bit. You're playing Goran Dragic, Isaiah Thomas, and the guy that the Pelicans eventually got. They traded him to Milwaukee. I don't know why. Eric Bledsoe. Yeah, that fucking garbage ass dude, man. He felt because he wasn't bad in Philly. I mean, in Phoenix. The three guard lineup actually worked over there because they had Saka. They were like 3 pretty big guards, except Isaiah Thomas. But you got Dragic was a big guard, and so was Eric Bledsoe. He wasn't big, but he was swole up though. He was like Bledsoe. He was big. He won Defensive Player of the Year over Drew Holiday. But anyway, I can talk Drew all day, so we can get past that. But yeah, Steve Kerr destroyed Phoenix. And so I'm looking at Steve Kerr, so okay, all right, so you've done nothing so far in your past that shows that you're good at operating basketball. And then I watched him coach, I'm like, so he's okay. I mean, anybody could have coached Golden State, but what really got me is when Steve Kerr was injured or sick, And Luke Walton, who's proven to be not a good coach. I actually think he also didn't get a fair shot, but no, that's neither here nor there. But Luke Walton won like 60 of 73 games. Like they only won like 13 games under like Curry. You know what I'm saying? Like if that, I think he won like 62. He won like most of their games. And when I saw that, I was like, man, so anybody can coach this team. Then I'm watching Steph Curry. I'm just watching. It's like, son, this dude's the greatest basketball player I've ever seen. Him and Kobe. He was in that because at this time Jordan was still my favorite player. No, Kobe didn't come out my favorite player until once I started actually looking into stats and stuff and just learning more about Kobe and his situation. Like, oh man, he's the GOAT. Then I looked at his work ethic, and as somebody who's good at a lot of stuff, I'm good at a lot of different things, and I compete in a lot of different things, like I be saying. I understand that if you work an X amount of time at something, the trajectory of skill that you should be showing if you put that much work in it. And when I heard all the stories about Kobe, I was like, how the hell can he be putting this much work in and he's not the greatest of all time? And I asked that facetiously because I was like, I know how much work that I have to put in to be good at all these other things and just life in general, and how much work you have to put in to just build a system of success. But that's what it is, a system of success. You're working to integrate these habits into your very being. So you have to think about it so that you are success. You're not doing successful things. You are literally the embodiment of success. And Kobe understood that. And I'm looking, I was like, what the fuck? Why isn't he the GOAT? And I'm looking, oh shit, he is the GOAT. And I looked at his stats, like, so that dude the GOAT. And so I'm looking at stuff, and all the same signs are showing. And I'm looking at Clay, and I'm looking at how he doesn't have a handle. I look at do the math of basketball, and I look at the team itself. And it's like, this team isn't that good. They don't have that many stars. Andre Iguodala was the second best player, contrary to popular belief. Klay Thompson, overrated as shit. He was a good role player. He's never a star level dude. He should never have made all those all-stars. He was never all-star level. A two guard who could put the ball on the floor. Like I've never seen that in my life. Though. He was really a forward, you know what I'm saying? But he was too short. He's a 3-and-D wing, playing the guard position. And then you got Draymond, who doesn't give you much. And he was a little bit better then, but he wasn't really a star caliber player. And they were this good, winning 73 games. And I was like, oh, Steph Curry to go. That's how the math works. Like that value has to go somewhere. It's like Steph Curry to go. So it doesn't matter if Steve Kerr's as good as he is. And I know I took a little detour, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, understanding why these things are the way they are is a key reason. Because if I just tell you straight up without going to the backstory, it might not really sink in. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, get to the point. But these points are very important to understanding the general picture of why Kuminga and Golden State are in the position that they are. Because you have this overrated coach who couldn't see all of these factors. So people couldn't see all these factors that I just said. So they attributed Steve Kerr to being this person. They took that value and added it to Steve Kerr instead of to Curry, where it should have been. You have all this value wrapped up in Clay, Dre, and Kerr that actually belongs to Steph Curry. And Luke Walton showed me that. The stats without Klay Thompson show me that. Like they don't miss a beat when they didn't have Clay. They didn't miss a beat when they didn't have Draymond. The only player they really needed was Andre Iguodala. That's the only time where winning and losing was affected. Andre Iguodala and Steph Curry. That's it. But fast forward back into the future, but now understand how overrated Curry is. And now we're at the midway point, or somewhere in the stop is the middle of the video. If you want to see some more, I got my Steve Kerr's Overrated series, so like, comment, subscribe, check that out. I'm at like 13 episodes, you know what I'm saying? I still got like 2 more to go. I've only got like 2 more things to say about him being overrated. I said, I've already listed so much of why Steve Kerr's overrated, so y'all should go check that out. And while we're here, y'all should go check out my 18 basketball rules mandatory for success, because I'm about to start talking about basketball rules when it comes to Kuminga. All right? So, I'll be back. All right, but before we get into the basketball rules section and how Kuminga fills a lot of roles that Golden State needed, that the haters ignore. Because everything I'm saying is stuff that the haters ignore, and it's showing why they call him low IQ, but they are actually low IQ. So this is all within that thesis. You know what I'm saying? So The whole Jimmy Butler thing, because for the break, Jim Parks and Jimmy Butler. Jim Parks is the one who's pushed the Jimmy Butler narrative. So last season was watching the videos, and he said that he had somebody in the organization that he's cool with, that he's been like talking to and trying to influence him. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't believe that shit, but maybe. Even though he did interview with Steph Curry, so it's like, I really should have believed him like that, because he literally had an interview with Steph Curry way back before Curry was anything. I'm surprised that video doesn't have like a quadrillion views. I'll be promoting that on my freaking channel. You got to interview with the GOAT himself. Come on, man, what you doing? But he made a comment about Jimmy brought a stats about Jimmy Butler. I guess Jim Parks hates Kuminga. It doesn't matter what he does. He just hates him irrationally. So he didn't want to see Kuminga get better on the team. He just wanted him off the team. It's weird. Like, if I have a team, I want to see the players improve. You know what I'm saying? But he's the main beating of the drum for the low IQ mode. He's the one that got everybody saying Kuminga has a low IQ. Like, other than that, nobody else really was saying shit like that. It's 100% Jim Parks. I like him, but you got to take responsibility for your actions. That's it. Especially when you have a platform and you're influential. Like, your actions carry a lot more weight. And he gets mad when people call him out. They say, "Oh, you're a Kuminga defender." I was like, nah. But you're sitting over here, you're not just analyzing the game, you're talking vitriolic hatred at a man for no reason for playing basketball. That's like saying that they're serious. It is like, oh, well, you don't care enough about basketball. You don't respect the game enough. No, you don't respect the game enough. Because there's a difference between respecting wins and losses and respecting the art of battle. Now, like I said, I compete in everything. My blades are sharp. So I respect the art of battle itself. That's how you put two human souls against each other and sharpen and improve both. That is the best way to improve yourself. That's how you get to know yourself and know the opponent. But you got to have respect for the game. That's why it doesn't matter. Wins and losses don't fucking matter. At the end of the day. At the start of the day, yes. Of course, at the start of the day. But at the end of the day, it's just a game. You shake hands. Because we teach our kids this and we don't live by it. Say, at the end of the game, shake everybody's hands. That's the whole purpose of shaking people's hands. Showing that at the end of the day, win or loss, it's still just a game. And we have our lives and our souls. But this vitriolic hatred that's come from Jim. And it's unfortunate because, once again, he's one of my favorite. He is the only, the number one, the only one out that talked about how Steve Kerr was so overrated. And I was like, yes, he is. That's why I listen to him more than anybody. Him and Athletic Alchemy. They got Eric Apricot, hilarious, the celebration audits, what I mean? Who's Report, then they got a few of them. But I like Jim because he gets on Steve Kerr. Because he's the only one that gets on Kerr. Because he's garbage. But for some reason, he hates Kuminga. And he makes all this weird shit about, he just goes to these stats. So, I bring it all back to Jimmy Butler. To these stats about Jimmy and Kuminga not working together. But the problem is those stats always include Draymond Green. And it goes back to Kerr and Draymond. The problems with Golden State always come back to Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. All of the problems on this team are related to those two effing people. And I say this team, but this is my team. I'm a Curry fan, so I don't give a care about Golden State. So I just want Curry to get that another chip before it's over with. And he should have got it last year. If Kuminga would have played last year, Golden State would be defending champions right now. And that's just facts, because Curry is that great. Y'all might not realize it, but they just needed Curry back. They win one fucking game. But really, if they played Kuminga, Curry wouldn't have even gotten hurt in the first place. Because it was a stress injury. That hammy is stress. He's running around too much, offense and defense, carrying the team, having to fight through double teams and screens. And so Nick Curry was doing the most. And if Kuminga would have played, then Curry wouldn't have got hurt. And that's another thing that low IQers don't understand. It's like they keep saying don't play Kuminga, but they don't understand physics. Because it was Jim Parks that talked into the dude's ear and convinced Steve Kerr not to play Kuminga at the end of the season. Not convinced, but he was Kerr was just looking for any reason not to play him. It's not. I'm not gonna say no that Jim Parks whispering in his ear convinced him. No, Kerr was looking for a reason, and Jim gave him the perfect statistical reason because Kerr dumbass wasn't looking at that shit. Jim Parks fed the stat, but the minus is like one of the worst plus minus on the team with Jimmy and Kuminga, but they didn't count the fact that it was always Kuminga, Jimmy, and Draymond. Jimmy and Steph Curry are two of the most versatile people so that you can play the game with. They can play all kind of different roles. You know what I'm saying? So that's another point. How do you just ignore that? That's what us rational people don't understand. How do you just ignore that? Once again, it's rational people look at that. It's just low IQ. The same people that's calling Kuminga low IQ. And it's doing the most illogical things. There's no logic. For me, intelligence is about logic, you know what I'm saying? And about problem solving and reality, observing patterns, you know what I'm saying? And of truth. Intelligence is how close to truth can you get by observing data from reality and executing on that, you know what I'm saying? So you making all these comments about other people's intelligence. When you don't know nothing. That's what's crazy. So, let's get into the end of the video, really talking about the roles that Kuminga can fill on your team. So once again, check out my video for more context for 18 essential basketball roles mandatory for team success. And Kuminga fills 7 of them things. 7. 1, wing defender. And even if he was inconsistent, he showed in the players all these things that I'm telling you, the roles that he can fill. I've seen him. It's not what I think he could do. He has done this on the court. Wing defender. He's shown that he could be a decent wing defender. But, if you believe in him, give him the opportunity. 2, offensive facilitator. I mean, these are in no particular order, you know what I'm saying? But these are, I'll say, 7 of the roles. Offensive facilitator. When he came back from injury, man, he was slinging that bit because I guess he was still working himself back. He didn't really want to attack too much. And it was at that point when he came back from injury, I said, oh, he needs to be in the Draymond role. Because he could do that. He was one of the best passers on the team. I'm just looking at Athletic Alchemy. He's the only person that made a note of Kuminga's improved passing. And even though he's still a Kuminga hater too, not nearly as much as Jim Parks, but he's still a Kuminga hater. But even he made a note. So yes, offensive facilitator. He can make it, and he's big and tall. And on top of that, he's an offensive threat. He can put the ball on the floor and yam on you. So if you have him facilitating as opposed to Draymond, it's just way more effective. 3, rebounder. He was the leading rebounder on the team. Even with the bigs there, he was the leading rebounder on the team. 5, primary scorer. He stepped up to the option. In the playoffs, he showed you he could be the primary scorer. Number 5, secondary scorer. There's a huge difference in the roles between those two. Not everybody can go from the primary to the secondary because the ego thing and all kind of stuff. Some people need those shots. And not everybody can go from the secondary scorer to the primary scorer. Brandon Ingram's one. He's not really a primary scorer. He's great in the secondary role. But I love Brandon Ingram, but he ain't a primary scorer. He's secondary. Kuminga could be both. Because he showed that he could be the primary scorer in the playoffs. He led the team in scoring. And they ignore the fact that Kuminga did all this and say, oh, we still lost. And yet, it goes back to, low IQ. Because it doesn't make any sense. They mapped it. If Kuminga is better, they still lost. So, Kuminga is better than all these players. So, you say that, oh, they still lost, so it doesn't matter. And yet you still have the audacity to say that Golden State can compete for a championship with players less than Kuminga. If the playoffs didn't matter for Kuminga, they don't matter for the other players either. So you sitting here thinking, oh, this team can compete. That's just crazy. Listen, because Jim Parks is legitimately a smart basketball dude. Now, he has some fatal flaws in how he views the game, which keeps his overall level down. Because he doesn't understand the human element, first and foremost. I think he's low-key a robot or some shit. Doesn't understand the human element, how energy works. Especially defense is energy, right? And if you don't like it, it's hard to play defense when you don't like somebody. Because defense is grit and grind. So mentality is a thing. these players aren't robots. You might want them to think they are, but they're not robots. Like being in a good mood matters, whether you like it or not. Now, you can hate it, but once again, he's a human. Just because you don't understand human relations doesn't mean they don't exist. So, I said, what else I said? Secondary scorer. Number 6, the hammer. Now, the hammer is your scorer, but it's not primary, secondary, tertiary. He has no offensive role, no offensive pecking order. Sometimes you just say he's going to be there as a threat. Sometimes like, hey, I need a bucket. Go get it. And the hammer usually needs some kind of rim pressure, a threat. And, which I really should have did 6. Number 6 should have been rim pressure, before I get to the hammer. I'll get back to the hammer. Rim pressure. Somebody that can, whether it's like Trace Jackson Davis, who they didn't use, what is a rim roller, Kuminga, anybody who rim pressure, like sounded self-explanatory, a slasher, an attacker, so that he can fill that role. Somebody that applies, just even having them on the court, it warps the defense. The defense has to account for them, so that's a role that if you don't have, that's less on your defensive mental stack. So you need that role. So the hammer is someone who they don't always, but they usually provide rim pressure. But the hammer is just, once again, that offensive presence that is unconscious. They could come off the bench, get buckets. Like Jamal Crawford, hammer, come off the bench, get buckets. Our hardest announcer, every time we played back in the day, when we played the Clippers, or Joel, so man, he always used to say, man, Jamal Crawford, wake out the bed, getting buckets. You can make him your primary scorer, your secondary scorer, your tertiary scorer off the bench, make a last shot. Someone who's not afraid to take the last shot. Someone who's not afraid, who's go unconscious, go get buckets. That is the hammer. Sadiq Bey for the Pelicans, that's our hammer. He really should be the primary scorer, but like he's just an unconscious scorer. It don't matter. Like Sadiq Bey has made so many grenade threes, at the end of the shot clock, running out. Wow, hammer. You need with somebody with that mentality. Kuminga is a hammer. He fills that role. And, I said rim pressure, the other one. And so you take all this, you understand a player that can do all of these things, and you look at them and say, nah, I can't do nothing with that. And then on top of that, the last thing I didn't get into, the fourth issue that people, ignore, that these low IQ people ignore, this ties into what I just said. So you see all that. At 22 years old, and you ignore all of the obstacles that Kuminga had to go through in order to do everything he did in the playoffs, in order to do those first 3. So the first 3 I talked about. Number 4, you have to ignore the obstacles that Kuminga went through. Just to do that at 22 years old, at the time I think he turned 23 at the end of the season. Like his birthday's like at the end of the season, shit like that. But you did all this as a fresh 23-year-old with all these obstacles. A coach that didn't want you, who not only didn't want you, but went out of his way to sabotage you. You was carrying a team before you got hurt and lost your job to injury. You didn't get a chance to ramp up after injury. You barely got time to build any chemistry or build yourself up to get healthy. You didn't play in the first series, DNPs, and you came back in the playoffs and balled the fuck out. So that'd be different if he just balled the fuck out regularly, or it might be a fluke. But he went through all of these obstacles and still did this. And for me, it's just low IQ to just ignore that. Like if you wanna contextualize it, I guess. But like they say, it's just one game. They make all kind of excuses. The excuses are dumb. I don't remember because they're stupid. But they still don't even talk about the fact that you had to go through all these obstacles. So at work, people do it all the time. Think about if you listen. How many times have you bragged about accomplishing a goal while having to go through obstacles? It makes the goal accomplishment more impressive, right? Right? So the Kuminga haters ignore this. It's weird as hell. It's weird. So again, as an objective third party, as a Steph Curry fan who wants the team to be as efficiently as possible so Curry could get his ring, I'm like, son, use this dude. What are you doing? Like, so I wasn't a fan of him personally. I am now. But it was just because this is how efficient basketball needs to be played. But it is what it is, right? I think I said everything I need to say. Yeah, I went over this roles. So yeah, if you're a coach and you listen to everything I said and you took that play and said I can't do nothing with him. You don't know basketball. You got a low IQ. So man, that's gonna be it. Rambled on enough. So I'm your boy Rooster, and if this has offended you in any kind of way, I'm glad. Because that means you are a shitty human and you don't know shit about basketball. So, I'm your boy Rooster. Wake your ass up. The water's never sleeps, baby. Yeah.